The US Navy's apology for destroying an Alaskan village. Could this change how we see history? Did you know the US Navy once razed an Alaskan village to the ground? Many haven't heard of this event, but it has come to light recently with a powerful, long-awaited apology, one that could shift our understanding of historical accountability. In a historic move, the US Navy recently issued an apology for an event that transpired 142 years ago, the devastating destruction of a small Alaskan village. This gesture has ignited public interest and raised questions about the weight of historical apologies, the value of acknowledging past wrongdoings, and how reconciling these past events can impact future relationships. The story begins in 1882 in Angoon, a village on Admiralty Island in southeastern Alaska. Following a dispute over compensation between the Tlingit community and a trading company, Navy forces arrived to quell the situation, culminating in the bombardment and near-total destruction of the village. Buildings, food reserves, and sacred possessions were reduced to ashes. With winter approaching, the villagers were left vulnerable, facing starvation, exposure, and tremendous cultural loss. For the Tlingit, this wasn't merely an attack on homes and supplies, but an assault on heritage, livelihoods, and community. The tragic aftermath saw the community struggle to survive under conditions that demanded an immense degree of resilience. Historical accounts provide vivid details about the destruction in Angoon. It began when a Tlingit shaman died during a fishing expedition involving a Western-owned whaling ship. Tlingit leaders demanded restitution, a cultural practice that had long existed among indigenous tribes to honor the dead and support their families. However, the company, backed by Navy forces, viewed this as extortion. Tensions escalated, and within days, Angoon's residents witnessed the annihilation of their village. Documents from the time describe gunfire echoing through the hills, families scattering for safety, and critical food stores, like dried fish and hunting supplies, incinerated before their eyes. For the Tlingit, it marked a turning point, an agonizing chapter that has been passed down in oral histories, bearing witness to the losses suffered and the resilience shown. Survivors recounted this devastation to future generations, cementing it as a traumatic yet defining element of their cultural memory. After decades of lobbying, the Navy's apology arrived as a symbolic acknowledgement. In a ceremony attended by Tlingit representatives and Navy officials, the apology resonated with those who had kept the story alive, even as the world largely ignored it. This moment was more than an apology. It was an invitation to reckon with history, openly and honestly. The apology recognized the specific harms inflicted on Angoon's people, the suffering they endured, and the resilience they embodied. For the Tlingit, this acknowledgement held the power to affirm their voices, long silenced, and revalidate their standing within the history of the United States. It reflects the growing awareness in institutions about the lasting scars of historical actions and the value of addressing them, even years or centuries later. The United States Navy's apology has done more than recognize a historical wrong. It has opened doors for conversations about historical accountability and the transformative power of acknowledging painful truths. Revisiting events like these allows us to understand the impact they have on relationships between cultures, governments, and communities. Apologies like this may seem small, but for those affected, they can change narratives and foster a new kind of mutual respect. What do you think of the Navy's apology? Could gestures like these help heal historic wounds, or is it too little too late? Share your thoughts in the comments and watch our next video to explore more about historical apologies and their impact on today's world.